Hey guys, this is Alex from A&W Tractor, bringing another summarization video to you. This time we have the 200, and this video will cover an overview essentially of what is in the operator manual, such as lubrication points, operator controls, fluid capacities, where to drain, where to fill, and a rough overview of the 200 tractor. This will not cover any adjustments to the tractor. That would be a technical service department question. So we'll get started. The Allis-Chalmers 200 was made from 72 to 75, and it usually dynos at about 110 to 120 horsepower. They were only made in the diesel option. You can see here, pretty sharp looking tractor. Operator station is pretty roomy, and it featured live PTO, not necessarily independent PTO. High-low range, giving you 8 forward gears, 2 reverse gears. So I'll get started with the overview. First thing I will point out here is the lubrication and fluid points. So starting at the front of the tractor, just inside the grill you have your air cleaner assembly. The grill unsnaps on the sides here, just like that, and there is your air cleaner. Some of the 200s have a little door here to enable you to remove the air cleaner element from under the cap without taking anything else apart. So that's a good thing to change, or at least check, when you just bought a 200 here. Sometimes that gets overlooked, sometimes not. Right behind the air cleaner is the radiator. The radiator holds 4.5 gallons of coolant. I would recommend the red heavy-duty diesel engine coolant. That red coolant has additives that prevent cavitation and electrolysis issues in these tractor engines. And if the antifreeze is not changed regularly, I think every 1,000 to 2,000 hours, then these engines would develop cavitation issues, leading to a repair that could take a full engine overhaul to fix. So the coolant is filled here at the radiator cap. There are 2 drains for the coolant. One is at the bottom of the radiator, just inside the left panel. There's a drain cock there. You can see there's a little orangish yellow color. And the second drain for the coolant is the engine block on the opposite side of the tractor. That is somewhat difficult to get to. I believe it's back here. You may not be able to see it. There's a drain plug right behind the injection pump there. There's an additional drain plug back here I see as well. That would aid in draining the coolant easier. While we're on the front axle here, you can see this tractor is a narrow front. They usually have wide front ends. Narrow front was not available on the 200 from the factory. This is an add-on that someone did. But there's several greaserts on the wide front for a 200. There's 2 on the axle knees. Sometimes the tie rod ends have greaserts. And something else that often gets overlooked is your wheel hubs. The wide front has the same wheel hubs as a narrow front would have on an Allis. To grease those wheel hub bearings, it requires removal of the wheel hub off the spindle. Clean all the old grease out, pack it with new grease, inspect the bearings, usually replace the hub seal, and then assemble it with new grease. That's something that should be done at least every 400, 500 hours. Not many people do it that often. So, moving backwards from the engine, the engine oil is drained at the drain plug at the bottom of the oil pan. That holds approximately 14 quarts of engine oil. I would recommend 15W40 diesel engine oil to fill in this engine. The fill point for the engine is on the other side, left side when sitting in the seat. This is your fill cap here for the engine oil. You check the level with your dipstick located right here. Moving backwards from the engine, you have the torque housing of the tractor. That contains the hydraulic reservoir. That hydraulic oil lubricates the PTO clutch and your power director clutch and acts as a reservoir for the whole hydraulic system. The hydraulic pump is engine mounted off the front timing cover here. These are the engine oil filters. I guess I forgot to mention that. 200 has dual engine oil filters. A little upgrade over a 190, which just has a single oil filter. There are other minor upgrades in the engine, such as a crankshaft driven oil pump over the 190 engine, diesel engine I should say. So back to the torque tube oil reservoir there. The dipsticks are rather hard to get at. Unfortunately, that cover is bolted down in place, but the dipstick for the hydraulic reservoir is located approximately right here under this panel. It looks like a hex plug. It has a dipstick attached. That is also the fill port for the hydraulic reservoir. That is, again, if you're sitting in the seat, the dipstick to the left and slightly forward of a second dipstick, which is located approximately here. That dipstick does the rear end housing from the torque tube, transmission, and differential back. That reservoir also uses the same transhydraulic oil as a torque tube. Both reservoirs, I would recommend using a transhydraulic oil equivalent to Allis-Chalmers or AGCO 821 power fluid. Again, it's a transhydraulic oil. That reservoir in the back holds 38 quarts of transhydraulic fluid. The torque tube hydraulic reservoir holds 28 quarts. The torque tube reservoir has two drain plugs located underneath. Don't just drain one, you will not get it all out. The first drain plug is horizontally on the bottom of the PTO clutch housing. Right here, takes a 1 1/8 inch wrench. Second drain plug is located right here on the bottom of the hydraulic manifold. That takes a 7/8 inch wrench. Drain all that out and then fill it back up with transhydraulic oil through the port, same port that your dipstick screws into. So back to the rear end reservoir. Again, the fill port and dipstick is to the right, slightly rearward, one sitting on the seat under this cover. There is two drain plugs for the rear end reservoir. First drain plug is located behind the battery box, somewhat hidden right there, goes in horizontally, takes a 1 1/8 inch wrench right there. And the second drain plug is even more hidden. That is on the back of the tractor, behind the PTO shield, right there. Can you see it? Mm-hmm. Great. That also takes a 1 1/8 inch wrench right there. Very difficult to drain out. You got a whole bunch of stuff in the way, so a large, wide drain pan is ideal. Most of the fluid, I believe, will come out of this drain plug. You'll only get maybe a third to a half of the fluid out of the other drain plug, just because the housing is baffled, etc. So that is the rear end reservoir, trans-hydraulic fluid again. There's two other reservoirs on this tractor, not including fuel. They are the bull gear compartments in the final drive rear end. So they are separate from the trans-hydraulic oil that is in the differential and transmission. Those bull gear compartments take 80 W90 gear oil. There is drain plugs and fill, which doubles as a level plug. The drain plugs for those bull gears are on the side, on the bottom facing outward, right there, and the same one on the other side. The fill plug for those bull gear reservoirs, located behind this hydraulic cylinder. Let me see if I can lower that out of the way for you. And the fill level plug is right there. You can see that. Takes a 1 1/8 inch wrench again. Apparently Allis-Chalmers only had one size wrench at the factory, 1 1/8. So again, two reservoirs, one on each side. 80 W90 gear oil. The fuel tank that's on this tractor holds about 48 gallons of fuel, allowing you to run all day without refueling. I believe this pretty much concludes the fluids and checkpoints of this tractor. I don't think there's anything I'm forgetting. So as far as lubrication points go, there's a couple of lubrication points on the 3-point hitch, a couple grease zerks, none on the clutch pedals or brake pedals, none on the seat suspension if you have an original seat suspension. I'll show you the grease zerks on the 3-point hitch here. Okay, we have a couple here on the top arm swivels, and then there's usually grease zerks here and here on the winging screws, as Allis-Chalmers called them. The torsion bar in there has a couple grease zerks on as well. One right here on this side, and another one in the center of the torsion bar on the right side there. Sometimes people will drill a hole here in the top link for a grease zerk. That's not very common, but does happen, especially if your top link is rusted out and have to break it free. Now we'll move on to the operator control section of the video here. So the operator platform is rather large and roomy, giving an advantage over the competition at the time. And I think we're going to have to climb up there to give you the best view. Maybe not. We'll give it a shot here, see what happens. So, clutch pedal right here. This allows you to shift gears, and when the clutch pedal is depressed, it brings the PTO to a stop. The PTO is live by using a different control lever up on the side console there. This is your shift lever. Allows you to shift gears. There's 4 gears, and you have 8 speeds because you have a high-low. Your brake pedals are located here, obviously. Left brake pedal actuates the left side tire on the back, and right does the same thing on the other side. This lever right here, located to the left of the operator's seat, that is a PTO lever. Now this tractor, when customers ordered from the dealer, it had 2 PTO control options. There was a hydraulic PTO option and there was a mechanical PTO, which was standard, unless you paid a little more for the hydraulic PTO. So this tractor has the big lever to the left of the seat, which means it has mechanical PTO. that means you are not able to engage and disengage the PTO without pushing in the foot clutch. The hydraulic PTO option is identified by having a lever on the inside of the console coming out of this hole right here. Lever is somewhat horizontal. I believe it actually goes that way. And it has engaged, disengaged, and then a brake position. That's pretty slick. You can engage and disengage the PTO no matter what you're doing with the tractor at any time. It has its own clutch. Now, I think we're going to have to get up on the tractor to go to the side console. So, side console. Allis-Chalmers 190 was the first tractor to hit the U.S. market with a side console. Very convenient. All your levers just at easy reach with your right arm while you steer with your left arm. 200 was developed off of the 190, so it still retains that side console. First lever here is your throttle. All the way back is idle. Move it forward, give it more gas or more power faster. It's the go fast lever. This lever right here is how you shift high-low. This is the power director control lever. You have 3 positions: high, neutral, and low. With the lever in high or low, the tractor will go in whatever speed your gear is in. Moving the lever to neutral allows you to run your PTO, keep that running while your tires coast to a stop. Or, because this clutch is oil bath, runs in oil, you can slip the clutch as much as you want without being detrimental to the life of the clutch. So it's somewhat of a variable speed if you slip that lever, which happens plenty. Fully able to do that. Behind those 2 control levers are the hydraulic levers. The one closest to the fender operates your 3-point hitch here. There's 4 positions. All the way forward is your lower position. Leaving it back like that, you're in the traction booster position. Bumping it back a little bit, right there, that's the hold position. Your 3-point will neither raise nor lower and should stay at the same height no matter what kind of a weight load you have on it. And the rearmost position is the raise position. There should be a detent in that position, just like the lever holds like that. When the 3-point gets the end of its stroke, the pressurization within the valve should automatically kick the lever back to the hold position, just like that. These 2 other levers control your rear remotes on the tractor. They also have 4 positions. The first one is float, as identified by the console cover. Slightly different from your 3-point lever. There should be a detent with both of those levers in the float position, and then you are at your lower position. Moving back one more, those levers are in the hold position, meaning not raising, not lowering. And then the back position is the raise position, obviously. So again, when actuating your remotes, if they're set properly, when the cylinder gets to the end of its stroke, it will pressurize a passage inside of the valve and automatically kick both of those levers back to the hold position. Back from your hydraulic control levers, there's 2 other levers, traction booster and position control. Those are adjustment levers for how the 3-point works under a load if you're using the traction booster with a moldboard plow or something like that. When not in use, it's best to just keep both levers all the way back. that would be in the all the way up position, but we're going to keep them back here when not in use. Otherwise, the linkage sometimes interferes with how the 3-point works, causing the 3-point to go up and not come down at all when the tractor is running. Oh, let's see, covers that. Only other lever that may be on some of these seats would be an adjustment for the seat, either backwards or forwards. That's going to be located under the seat somewhere here. This tractor actually has another optional feature with the steering wheel. I don't believe this one works, but some steering wheels on the 200s and newer tractors had a flexible black rubber cap right here. That signifies the option of an extendable steering wheel. If you had a white or clear cap in the center here with the Allis-Chalmers logo, then you did not have the extendable steering wheel option. What usually goes on here is you press the button in the center of the cap, and that allows you to extend or retract the steering wheel, just a little more adjustment for operator comfort. This one has that option, but I believe it's stuck. It hasn't been used in quite a while there. I do see there's another lever right here. This lever is an adjustment for the tilt of the steering wheel. So you can tilt your steering wheel up and then pull the lever, tilt the steering wheel down, and then release the lever like that. Another creature comfort, if you will, on these bigger, newer Allis tractors. They were top of the line when they were manufactured. And the last lever here that I can think of is the parking brake lever, located to the right side of the instrument panel. The park brake is engaged right now. Turning the handle down to the back disengages the parking brake, and then I'll release the brake pedals. They'll come back up. To engage the parking brake, flip the lever forward. It's an over-center linkage, and then stomp on the brakes like that, and the brakes will lock, of course. Again, to release the parking brake, move the lever down and then tap on the brake pedals, and they should automatically release, just like that. So this is the steering wheel here. Instrument panel layout is quite convenient. Tachometer is in the center. Also has the hour meter in the face of the gauge. This red light to the upper left signifies oil pressure from the engine. If this light is on, the engine does not have oil pressure or is lower than it needs to be to properly run the tractor. Someone added an oil pressure gauge here in the instrument panel, which I do recommend. That's a good call, rather than just the idiot light, as they're sometimes called. This gauge here is your amp gauge, or your charging rate. Make sure that that works and you know your battery is charging. The gauge over here to the right is your coolant temperature gauge. Should run somewhere around 180, maybe up to 200. It usually does not run over 200 degrees Fahrenheit. This is your light switch below the coolant temperature gauge. It's a rotary switch. Different positions turn on different lights. There's two dash lights up here. Key switch is down here. The procedure for starting the tractor would be to turn the key switch one click clockwise. This push button switch left of the key switch activates the starter to crank over the engine. And one more thing has to be done in this series of events to crank over the engine, and that would be to push in the clutch pedal. That activates the clutch safety switch. Pushing the clutch pedal in, turn the key, push the button, it should crank the engine over, and as long as you have the fuel cable pulled to the out position, then the diesel engine has fuel and the tractor will start up. To stop the tractor, all you have to do is slam that cable forward and then the tractor shuts down. Don't forget to turn off your key here to the off position. And I believe that should cover it. Anything I forgot?
Not that I can think of.
One last thing I'm going to mention is the tractor serial numbers. So we'll get down here. Now it is unfortunate, but when you buy a new tractor, there's probably some parts that you don't like, some parts you want to replace, or just common maintenance you would also need to replace parts on. Hopefully you don't have any major breakdowns. But in any event, when ordering parts, hopefully from us, A&W Tractor, Parts Department, 920-598-1287, extension 1. You will need to know the tractor and sometimes the engine serial number. So on a 200, the tractor serial number can be found on the right-hand side, and it is stamped into the front of the torque housing flange right here. You can see 200-6171. That's the tractor serial number. The engine serial number is different. On a 200, the engine serial number is on a riveted tag on the front of the left side of the engine block. That's your engine model number, and underneath is the engine serial number. So that's going to wrap it up, ladies and gentlemen. Again, this is Alex from A&W Tractor, and if you need any parts, be sure to give us a shout, send us a message. If you have any questions, our service department most times is available to help you, unless we're really backed up. Anyway, thanks for watching the video, and see you next time.